People call us a lot of names, depending on where you're from or what literature you study. Some call us Magi's, some call us wise men, some astrologers, magicians, knowers of time, and some call us kingmakers. For a long time, I thought that I had power to make a king or to break a king. But my ancestors knew a man who talked about a God who would raise kings. He would raise them up and make them fall down if they refuse to surrender to him. That man was pure genius. He was highly favored by many kings. He was given authorities over many provinces. He was called a prophet, an interpreter of dreams. But the title that most amazed me, that they call him the servant of the Most High God. I remember my mentor used to tell us that he would bring out solution out of a thin air for the problems that even the wisest of the society couldn't figure out, as if he was talking to someone divine and that divine being was telling him all the answers. I remember that his name was Belshazzar, and I found myself traveling through the desert because of a prophecy he made about a child so divine, so majestic that he would rule nations and all nations would worship him. So me and my companions, as responsible kingmakers, we started our journey to find this child, to worship him and to bring him gifts. According to the knowledge of our astrology, we followed a star that was supposed to be a sign of his birth. For sure, it was not a short journey. We spent hundreds of days and nights traveling, and suddenly the coordinates of the star stopped changing, and there we found ourselves in the city of Jerusalem, standing in the steps of the king's palace. Our hearts were so filled with joy that finally we will see this majestic child face to face. So we went in and asked the king, the great Herod, about the born king of Jews. And he was so astonished, as if he didn't know about when and where this prophecy was going to be fulfilled. So he asked his scribes, and they told him about the child being born in the town of Bethlehem. And he told us to report the location of this child so he can go himself and worship this child. But I knew he didn't mean his words. So we hasted out of the palace and we began our journey to the town of Bethlehem. As we were nearing the town of Bethlehem, we saw the star changing its coordinates again. So we measured and we found out the star is not where it's supposed to be. So we instantly knew that we will not see this child here. So we moved as the star moved, and soon we found ourselves in the small, humble town of Nazareth. And let me tell you, the people there were so shocked seeing our entourage. After inquiring about this child, we found a house with a couple and a 2-year-old baby boy. As soon as I saw his face was so radiant, and I knew that this is the child that Belshazzar was talking about. He was born the king. He didn't born to become a king, but he was a king, and he came down to this earth and took a human form. We fell down on our faces and we worshipped him. We praised his majesty and we thanked God for visiting us. I realized, what could we give him? What gifts could we give him? We brought everything that a king would desire, but for some reason, everything felt so unworthy of him. Of course, we gave him gold, myrrh, and frankincense, everything that a richest of all society would desire. But when we gave him, his parents were not amazed. They were not shocked at all, and their facial expressions didn't change, as if their contentment was in this child, and they understood a deeper meaning of having the responsibility of him. I looked at the child again, and in his eyes, I saw salvation. That was his name, Jesus. Lord is my salvation. Indeed, in that child, in Jesus, I found my salvation. That day, this so-called kingmaker found his king and his maker, the King of the kings and the Lord of the lords. My journey back to the east was a long one. I miss being in the presence of whom I travel for. Yet I hope that one day I will meet my King again, and that will be glorious.